Daddy, they want to kill me. Kill you? Who? Talk to me. What are you saying? Who wants to kill you? Ngozi's lips moved slowly. Kofi. Amma pills. Then her body went limp. Hey there, pour a cup of tea, get comfy, and let your heart listen. The story's about to start. Welcome to Tales Vibe, where laughter and lessons flow together. If you love a good story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more tales every week, and please tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to know where our story family is tuning in from. Ngozi adjusted the strap of her simple gold gown and took a slow breath. It was the morning of her wedding, and everyone at the hotel believed she was getting ready with her bridesmaids. But she had a different plan. She wanted to surprise Kofi before the ceremony. The gown wasn't part of the wedding outfit. It was just something comfortable she loved. She wanted to show up at his door looking like herself, not dressed for the cameras or the guests. In her mind, it was a sweet way to start their forever, just the two of them before the rush of the day. She held a small gift bag in her hand, a wristwatch she bought for him weeks earlier. She imagined his smile, the way his eyes usually softened when he looked at her. That thought alone filled her with warmth. Ngozi stepped into the hallway, her slippers making soft sounds on the tiles. Her heart was full. She thought about how lucky she was. A Ghanaian man with a calm spirit, Kofi had always treated her like she was his piece. Or so she believed. As she approached his door, she paused and smiled to herself. She wanted to knock gently and call his name in that playful tone he liked. She raised her hand, but then froze. Kofi's voice came from inside the room, but he wasn't alone. His tone wasn't soft. It wasn't loving. He was laughing, deep and carefree. Ngozi lowered her hand slowly, leaning closer. Relax, Kofi said. She's already weak. The pills will finish her today. Ngozi blinked hard. Her brows folded. Which pills? Who? Then he continued. Once she takes the last one, everything she owns will be ours. The gift bag slipped from her fingers and hit the floor quietly. A woman's voice answered him. Don't worry. I already put it inside her drink. Ngozi's stomach tightened. She knew that voice. Amma. Her bridesmaid. Her closest friend. The one she trusted to stand beside her at the altar. Ngozi pressed her palm over her chest, feeling her heart thudding wildly. Kofi laughed again. I hope your dress for today fits you well. Amma giggled. It fits you better when I take it off for you. Ngozi staggered backward, her hand covering her mouth. Her eyes burned. Her legs trembled. She felt everything inside her collapse at once. The two people she loved most had been poisoning her slowly, waiting for her to fall completely so they could take everything she built. Her vision blurred. Her breathing became uneven. She turned sharply and began to run down the hallway. Her gold gown brushed against her legs as she hurried. She didn't know exactly where she was going. She only knew she needed help. Daddy. Stepmama. Someone must hear this. Someone must help me. Her chest tightened more with each step, but she refused to stop. Today was supposed to be the start of her new life. Instead, she had just heard a death sentence with her name on it, uneven as she hurried away from Kofi's door. Her chest felt tight, her hands cold. The words she had just heard refused to leave her mind. She tried to swallow, but her throat felt dry. The simple gold gown she wore suddenly felt heavy on her body. She reached the elevator, but her hands shook too much to press the button. She pulled back and rushed toward the staircase instead. Her breath came in short bursts. With every step she took, she kept seeing Amma's smile, hearing Kofi's laugh, remembering the moments she thought were real. She whispered to herself, No, no, no. It was the only thing her tongue could form. As she reached the next floor, her legs almost gave way. She grabbed the railing, holding it tightly while trying to catch her breath. Her heartbeat was so loud it felt like it echoed inside her head. She forced herself to keep moving. Each step was painful, but she had no choice. She needed someone she could trust. Someone who would believe her immediately. Only one thought guided her steps. Daddy must hear this. When she finally reached her father's hotel room door, she pushed it open weakly. It wasn't locked. She stepped inside, her voice small and shaky. Daddy. Stepmama. Her father, Mr. Okafor, and her stepmother, Auntie Risi, turned sharply. They were both seated on the bed, going through a list of wedding activities. Ngozi, her father said, standing up quickly. What happened? Why are you shaking like this? Before she could answer, her legs gave out. Her father rushed forward and caught her. The gold gown spread around her as she collapsed into his arms. Daddy. Her voice barely came out. They want to kill me. Her father's eyes widened. Kill you? Who? Talk to me. Ngozi tried, but the words stumbled inside her throat. Her tongue felt heavy, her head light. Auntie Reese knelt beside them. Ngozi, what are you saying? Who wants to kill you? Ngozi's lips moved slowly. Kofi. Alma pills. Then her body went limp. Ngozi, her father shouted. Somebody help us. His voice carried through the hallway. Within seconds, guests rushed toward the open door. Voices rose in panic. People pressed forward, trying to see what was happening. Call the hotel staff. Get a doctor. Bring a car. Her father lifted her carefully, holding her close, fearing he might lose her before understanding what happened. They rushed her downstairs, with people clearing the way. A hotel attendant quickly opened the car door, while another dialed the hospital. Kofi must hear this, someone said loudly. But Kofi had already stepped out of his room, pretending to be confused by the commotion. When he saw Ngozi collapsed in her father's arms, he widened his eyes, acting shocked. My fiancé, he shouted. He pushed his way forward dramatically. What happened to her? What happened to my bride? He reached for her hand and held it with fake trembling fingers. Inside him, he felt nothing but victory. Outside, he looked like a man losing the love of his life. The car door slammed shut. Ngozi lay motionless inside. Her father climbed in beside her. Auntie Reese followed. Hospital, her father shouted. The driver sped off immediately. As the car pulled away, Kofi stepped aside, his fake panic fading into a small, satisfied smile. Ngozi's eyes remained closed as the car sped toward the hospital. Her father held her tightly, calling her name again and again, but her body did not respond. Her stepmother kept rubbing her arm, whispering prayers under her breath. The gold gown she wore was crumpled against her body, the same gown she had used to run for her life. By the time they reached the hospital, nurses rushed toward the car with a stretcher. Her father carried her out himself, refusing to let anyone else touch her until she was safely on the bed. They pushed her into the emergency room, and the doors shut behind them, blocking her family out. Her father banged the door once but stopped when a nurse told him quietly, Sir, please allow us to work. Kofi entered the waiting area seconds later, performing grief for everyone watching. God, please save my wife, he shouted, holding his head dramatically. I cannot lose her. Some guests patted his back, calling him a strong man. Inside, he smiled at the success of his plan. Inside the emergency room, Ngozi's body lay still. Doctors checked her pulse, her breathing, and her eyes. The medicine she had unknowingly taken made her weak, but she was still alive. After a long moment, her fingers twitched lightly. A nurse noticed. Doctor, she's moving. Everyone turned. Slowly, her eyelids fluttered open. Ma, can you hear me? The nurse asked. Ngozi blinked slowly, her voice a whisper. Please don't tell them I'm awake. The doctors exchanged glances, confused. My family, everyone outside, don't tell them, she repeated weakly. The nurse leaned closer. Ma, your father is very worried. I know, Ngozi whispered. But please not yet. Promise me. The nurse hesitated, then nodded. I promise. Ngozi exhaled shakily. Her face looked pale, her body exhausted, but her mind was awake. She remembered every word she heard outside Kofi's hotel room. She remembered Alma's voice, Kofi's laugh, and the pain that tore through her chest when she realized they wanted her money more than her life. A few minutes later, the door opened and Dr. Musa stepped in. He was her personal doctor for years, a man she trusted like an uncle. When he saw her lying there awake, he gasped softly. Ngozi, he said, moving closer. My daughter, talk to me. What happened to you? She tried to sit up, but he gently held her shoulders. Slowly. Just speak. Ngozi swallowed hard, her voice shaking. Doctor, someone is trying to kill me. Dr. Musa's brows tightened. Who? Kofi, she whispered. And Alma. Dr. Musa stared at her, stunned. Your fiancé? Your bridesmaid? She nodded weakly. He has been giving me pills for weeks. He said they were vitamins. Alma added the last one to my drink today. Dr. Musa let out a slow breath. Ngozi, this is attempted murder. She looked into his eyes, desperate. I need help. I need proof. I need to know who else is involved. Her voice broke. Doctor, help me. Anything, he said softly. What do you are? Musa stood beside Ngozi, still trying to process her request. She looked weak from the earlier collapse, but her eyes held a steady fire. You want to fake your death? He repeated quietly. Ngozi nodded. It's the only way, doctor. If I come out alive right now, Kofi and Amma will hide their hands. But if they think I'm gone, they will expose everything without fear. Dr. Musa exhaled slowly. Ngozi, this is a serious risk. I know, she whispered. But I'm not afraid anymore. I want the truth to come out. He watched her closely. For years, she had been gentle, soft-spoken, easy to trust people. But the girl lying on the hospital bed now was different, hurt, angry, and determined. All right, he finally said. If this is what you want, we must do it correctly. Ngozi swallowed, then spoke again. Doctor, there is something else. He leaned closer. What is it? When you announce my death, she said slowly, I want you to make sure I'm dressed in my wedding gown for the funeral. Dr. Musa frowned. Your wedding gown? Yes. If I appear in anything else, people will question it. The gown will make them think everything happened suddenly. It will make the lie believable. He thought for a moment. She was right. A shocking death on the wedding morning, followed by a funeral with the bride in her gown. Nobody would suspect a plan behind it. It would make the betrayal clearer and the reactions honest. All right, he agreed. We will dress you in the gown before you leave the hospital. Ngozi closed her eyes and breathed out. Thank you. Dr. Musa signaled 2 nurses he trusted. He explained only what they needed to know, that they must follow his instructions and keep everything silent. Ngozi, he said, turning back to her, I will give you a medicine that slows your heartbeat and makes your breathing faint. You will look gone, but you will be alive. She nodded, though a bit of fear flashed in her eyes. He picked up a vial and added it to her drip. Within seconds, her heartbeat began to slow. Her fingers grew numb. Her vision dimmed around the edges. It's working, one nurse whispered. Ngozi fought the feeling of slipping away. She kept telling herself, I'm alive. I'm fighting back. Dr. Musa placed cold packs under her arms, on her feet, and around her neck to complete the illusion. Her skin turned cool. Her breathing softened. The monitor showed extremely low readings. It's enough, he said softly. She is stable. He stepped out of the emergency room and allowed his face to fall. Auntie Reese stood first when she saw him. Doctor? Talk to us. Dr. Musa lowered his voice. I'm sorry we lost her. Her father let out a cry and grabbed the wall for support. Guests gasped. A nurse rushed to comfort him. Kofi covered his face dramatically, shaking his shoulders. Behind his fingers, a quiet smile formed. Inside the room, nurses prepared to change Ngozi into her wedding gown. Her plan had begun. The truth would soon come out, one person at a time. The mansion was full by the time Ngozi's body arrived. Her father, stepmother, uncles, aunties, and family friends stood around quietly. The white coffin was placed in the center of the living room, and the lid was left open, as instructed in her will. Ngozi, dressed in her full wedding gown, veils, jewelry, everything, lay still. Her makeup was simple, her face calm. She looked like a bride who had simply closed her eyes before walking down the aisle. Only Dr. Musa, the nurses, and Ngozi herself knew she was alive beneath the slowed heartbeat. To everyone else, she was gone. Whispers filled the house. What a tragedy, on her wedding day. Kofi must be shattered. And tea to do. Ngozi looked straight at him, her eyes firm despite her weak body. Help me fake my death, she whispered. It's the only way to catch them. Dr. Musa froze, shocked. But he saw the fire in her eyes. And slowly he nodded. Right on cue, Kofi entered the mansion. He was wearing a black suit, walking slowly, head bowed. The moment he stepped into the living room, people cleared a path for him. My wife, he said loudly, placing a hand on the coffin. Why did you leave me? Some women began crying harder. A few men shook their heads, praising him for being strong. But if anyone had looked closely at his eyes, they would have seen that not a single tear had formed. After a few minutes of his performance, the door opened quietly again. Amma walked in, also dressed in black. Her eyes were red, and she clutched a handkerchief like she had been crying for days. Kofi noticed her and gave a small nod. Someone whispered, her bridesmaid must be heartbroken. Heartbroken was the last thing Amma felt. After some time, guests began leaving the room so that people could visit one by one, following Ngozi's instruction. That was when the real show began. When it was Kofi's turn, he stayed close to the coffin, pretending to be overcome with grief. After 2 minutes, Amma slipped into the room, closing the door behind her. Both stood beside Ngozi's still body. Amma looked around first, making sure they were alone. Then she smirked. Finally, no more acting. Kofi dropped his sad expression immediately. 10 days, Amma, he whispered. After that, her properties are free. Alma leaned close to the coffin. Ngozi, you didn't know I could outsmart you, she whispered with wicked satisfaction. Both of them laughed softly. She was too soft, Kofi said. Imagine having all this money and still trusting people. Alma hissed. She trusted me too much. It made it easy. Kofi reached for Alma's hand. Once everything is shared, we will start our own life. No more hiding. Alma squeezed his fingers. I still can't believe she swallowed those pills so easily. Kofi chuckled. She trusted me. That was her weakness. Under the gown, Ngozi's fists tightened slightly. She could hear every word. Then Alma leaned closer to her face and whispered, Rest well, dear friend. We'll take good care of everything you left behind. Kofi laughed softly. Let's go before someone enters. They walked out together, fixing their faces back into fake sorrow before stepping into the hallway. Outside, people saw two grieving loved ones. Inside, Ngozi had just heard the first truth she needed. Her plan was working. When Kofi and Alma walked out of the room, fixing their sad expressions, the door closed softly behind them. Moments later, the lawyer reminded everyone outside. Only one person at a time. That was Ngozi's instruction. People nodded. They didn't understand why the rule existed, but nobody wanted to break the wishes of the late bride. Inside the living room, Ngozi remained still inside her wedding gown. Her heartbeat was faint, her breathing almost invisible, but her mind was sharp. She had just heard Kofi and Alma confess their betrayal. Now, she waited for the next truth. The door opened again. Her stepbrother, Tund, walked in first. He didn't look sad. In fact, the first thing he did was rub his palms together, like a man thinking of a good meal. He stood in front of the coffin and sighed, not out of grief, but impatience. So this is it, Tund muttered. Finally, he glanced around the room to make sure no one else was present. Well, sister, since you're gone, let's be honest, he said, leaning close. I already know which cars I'm taking. Ngozi felt her chest tighten beneath the gown, but she stayed still. I've been eyeing your white SUV since last year, Tund continued. And the black Benz too. You don't need them where you are going, so. He chuckled. I'll take good care of them. Before he could say more, the door opened again. His sister, Saad, stepped inside. She wore a fitted black dress, arms folded, face serious. Tund, she said sharply, you're already talking about cars? He smirked. You came to do your own calculation, ABI? Saad walked straight to the coffin and stared at Ngozi's still face. Her expression softened for 1 second, but only for a second. I want the beach house, she said without hesitation. I've told you before. That place suits me. Tund laughed. The same beach house you used for all your parties? You won't spoil it for free again, oh. Saad rolled her eyes. Don't start. You know, Ngozi never needed that house. She was always working. Then she leaned closer to the coffin and spoke in a low voice. Honestly, sister, you were too serious. You never knew how to enjoy life. Always business, always planning. If not for your money, I wouldn't even hang around you. Tund burst into laughter. True. People only liked you because you were generous. Now look, gone just like that. Under the gown, Ngozi's body tensed. These were the same step-siblings she helped through school, the ones she fed when their father couldn't. She paid Sada's rent, sponsored Tund's business, supported them even when they didn't deserve it. A sting of pain hit her chest. Their words cut deeper than a knife. Saad tapped the coffin lightly. Anyway, enjoy your rest. We'll share things peacefully. Tund nodded. Yes, now. After the will reading, we'll know who gets what. They both laughed again, shook hands, and walked out of the room, still discussing who deserved more of her property. Ngozi remained silent under the veil, her heart breaking all over again. First Kofi and Alma. Now Tund and Saad. She wasn't done listening. But she was now certain of one thing. When she finally rises, none of them will escape the truth. After Tund and Saad left the room, their soft arguments continued down the hallway until their voices faded. The door shut behind them, leaving the mansion silent again. Ngozi, still lying in her wedding gown, kept her heartbeat steady. She had already heard betrayal from Kofi, Alma, Tund, and Saad. But she knew 2 more people would reveal their true hearts, her father and stepmother. Soon, the door opened gently. Her father, Mr. Okafor, stepped inside. He moved slowly, his eyes fixed on the coffin. His face looked tired, with deep lines across his forehead. Behind him, Auntie Risi, her stepmother, followed closely. Her father walked straight to the coffin and stood beside it. He He placed a shaky hand on the edge and stared at Ngozi's still face. For a moment, pure sadness crossed his features. "My first child," he whispered. "Ngozi, my daughter." He wiped his eyes and sniffed. "I failed you. I know. You worked hard, you carried this family. You deserved better." Under the veil, Ngozi felt a small tug of emotion. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to think he meant every word. But she remembered her childhood too well. The distance, the silence, the way she always had to earn his affection. Auntie Reese placed a hand on his shoulder. "Honey, don't cry too much," she said softly. Mr. Okafor shook his head. "How can I not cry? She was my only hope." Auntie Reese paused, then sighed. "I know, but we need to think ahead. She must have left something for you in the will." Ngozi's heart froze. Her father looked at her stepmother. "You think so?" "Of course," Auntie Reese replied. "You're her father. She wouldn't forget you. When they read the will, you'll get your share." She moved closer to the coffin and lowered her voice. "You won't have to beg her for money anymore." Ngozi felt a sharp sting inside her chest. Her father didn't correct her. He didn't defend her. He simply nodded as if he agreed. Her stepmother continued. "The businesses alone are worth a lot. The house, the cars, you'll be fine." Mr. Okafor sighed again. "Maybe you're right. You should be hopeful," she insisted. "After everything you did for her when she was younger." Ngozi's breath almost caught. "Everything he did?" Her father interrupted softly. "I tried. I wasn't perfect. But she did well. She made name for herself. And now," her stepmother added, "the least she could do is leave you something." He nodded slowly. "Yes. After all, I raised her." Ngozi felt hot tears forming beneath her closed eyes. Not because of anger, because of disappointment. This was the man she had loved all her life. The man she wanted to impress. The man she begged to be proud of her. And now he stood beside her coffin, more focused on what he might gain than the daughter he thought he had lost. Auntie Reese tapped the coffin gently. "Ngozi, rest well," she said casually. "Your father will be all right." Her father touched the coffin one last time. "Goodbye, my daughter." They both turned and walked out, closing the door softly behind them. Ngozi lay still, but her heart was no longer soft. Now she knew, when she rose again, her father and stepmother would also face the truth. After her father and stepmother left the room, the door closed softly behind them. Their footsteps faded down the hallway. For a long moment, Ngozi lay still inside her wedding gown, her mind heavy with everything she had heard. Betrayal sat on her chest like a weight. She had expected pain from Kofi and Amma, maybe even from her step-siblings. But hearing her father speak of her like a bank account left her heart bruised. She didn't have long to process it. The door opened again, slowly, gently. Ngozi heard careful footsteps. Someone sniffed quietly, as if trying to hold in tears. The person stepped closer, and then, in a voice soft but trembling, she heard, "My baby." It was her mother, Mama Chioma. Ngozi had not seen her mother in years. People said she walked out when Ngozi was 6. People said she didn't care. People said she had started a new life far away. But as Mama Chioma walked to the coffin, her steps were weak, like each one hurt. She reached the coffin and looked down at Ngozi's face. Her breath broke. "My child," she whispered, her voice cracking. "My beautiful daughter." She touched Ngozi's hand with shaking fingers. Her tears fell freely onto the wedding gown. "Oh God," she cried softly. "I tried. I truly tried to be in your life." Under the veil, Ngozi felt her chest tighten. She wanted to open her eyes. She wanted to sit up. She wanted to ask, "Tried how? Tried when?" But she stayed still. Mama Chioma took a shaky breath. "You were just a little girl when your father pushed me away. He said I was a distraction. He said I was too soft. He said he could raise you better without me." Ngozi's heart skipped. Her mother continued, voice breaking. "He told me I would never see you again. He told me he would make sure you grew up hating me, and he did." She covered her face for a moment, crying harder. "I wanted to attend your birthdays. They chased me out. I wanted to see your school events. They warned me to stay away. I wanted to tell you I loved you, but I was shut out every time." Ngozi felt tears roll down her own cheeks beneath the veil. Her mother wiped her face and leaned closer. "But even when I was far, I prayed for you. I followed every step of your life from a distance. Every success. Every achievement. I was proud of you. I still am." Her voice shook as she continued. "I was planning to speak to you today. I wanted to beg you for a chance. Just a chance to be in your life again. She pressed her forehead gently on Ngozi's hand. But I came late. Too late. Ngozi wanted to scream, "No, Mama. You're not late." But she remained still, letting her mother pour her heart out. Mama Chioma wiped her tears with the back of her hand and whispered, "Wherever you are, my child, forgive me. I did not leave you. I lost you." She leaned down and kissed Ngozi's hand gently. "I love you, Ngozi. I never stopped." Then she stood up slowly, held the edge of the coffin one last time, and whispered, "Rest well, my baby." She turned and walked out, her tears dropping onto the floor as she left. Inside the coffin, Ngozi lay silently, but her heart was no longer breaking. For the first time since her fake death began, something inside her healed. Her mother loved her, and that truth gave her strength for everything still ahead. After Mama Chioma left the room, the door closed gently behind her. Her soft sobs faded down the hallway. Inside the coffin, Ngozi remained still, but her heart felt lighter than it had in days. Her mother's words stayed with her like a warm blanket. For the first time since her death, she felt a small kind of peace. But the peace didn't last long. Footsteps approached the door again, slow, heavy, unsure. The door opened quietly. Someone stepped inside and closed it behind him. Ngozi listened. The person didn't rush toward the coffin. Instead, he stood by the door for a moment, taking a deep breath like he was trying to gather courage. Then he walked forward, slow, steady, familiar. It was George, her driver. He stopped beside the coffin and stared at her face. For a long time, he didn't say a word. His shoulders dropped, and his eyes looked tired. Then he whispered, barely above a breath, "Ngozi." His voice shook. "I don't know where to start." He placed a hand gently on the edge of the coffin. His fingers trembled. "I wish I had told you the truth while you were still alive," he continued. "I wish I had warned you about them." Ngozi's heart raced. He knew something. Something important. George clenched his jaw. "I saw things. Kofi and Amma, the secret meetings, the whispers, the way they acted when you weren't around." He swallowed hard. "I wanted to tell you, but I was scared. Who am I? Just a driver. I didn't want you to think I was jealous or trying to scatter your relationship." He wiped his face quickly. "But I should have spoken. Maybe this," his voice cracked, "maybe this wouldn't have happened." Ngozi felt tears slide down her cheeks again under the veil. George leaned closer. "Every time I drove you around, every time you smiled at me from the back seat, I told myself to forget the feelings I had." His voice softened. "Feelings I knew I shouldn't have." He shook his head, choking back a sob. "I fell in love with you, Ngozi. From the first day I saw you at the supermarket, I knew you were special. But what could I do? I'm just a driver. You were preparing for a big wedding. I stayed silent. I stayed loyal. I stayed near because it was the only way to be close to you." He pressed a hand over his eyes. "But now you're gone." He bent slightly over the coffin, his tears falling onto the white wedding gown. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Ngozi's heart squeezed painfully. George had been the only person in that house whose tears were real. He wasn't pretending. He wasn't calculating. He wasn't expecting anything. His grief came from love. He straightened slowly, looking at her one last time. "I hope you find peace wherever you are," he said quietly. "And if God gives you another chance in another life, maybe I'll be brave enough to tell you the truth earlier." He turned around and walked out of the room. As the door closed behind him, Ngozi lay still, but not cold. George's words didn't break her. They strengthened her. Now she knew exactly who was with her, and who would regret ever standing against her. After George left the room, silence wrapped around the mansion again. Ngozi lay still, heart beating softly under the effect of Dr. Moose's medicine. 10 days had passed. 10 days of secrets. 10 days of truth. Everyone had shown themselves. Now it was time for her to rise. Outside, the living room filled with people dressed in black. Fake tears. Forced whispers. Greed hiding behind sad faces. They sat waiting for wealth, not justice. Waiting for the lawyer to read the will. The lawyer arrived with a black briefcase. He greeted no one. He simply walked to the center of the room and spoke. "Before I read the will, Madame Ngozi left one final instruction. You must all watch this video." A small murmur ran across the room. He plugged in a flash drive. The TV lit up. The first video played. Kofi and Amma walked into a hotel room hand in hand, laughing like two people who shared a dark secret. The room fell silent. People stared. Kofi sat up straight, panic in his eyes. Amma covered her mouth. Another clip played. This time they were whispering closely. We just need her gone, Amma said. She will be gone soon, Kofi replied. Gasps filled the room. Tund and Sod stared in shock. Mama Chioma shook her head slowly. Mr. Okafor's mouth hung open. Clip after clip continued. Every secret, every betrayal. And then the screen turned black. After a few seconds, a new image appeared. Ngozi, sitting upright, alive, recorded before her fake death. Her face was calm. Her eyes were steady. She spoke. Now that I've seen how much you all truly loved me, she paused. Let me share my final decisions. The room froze. To Kofi and Amma, she said, voice firm, you lose everything. Every gift, every property, every privilege. Divorce papers will follow. And the police will handle the rest. Amma burst into tears. Kofi clenched his fists, but he couldn't speak. To Tund and Sod, Ngozi continued, I owe you nothing. Since you valued my things more than my life, you will get none of them. The siblings looked stunned. To my father and stepmother, she said coldly, I leave 5 million naira. Not from love, but so my bitterness doesn't fall on your children. After this, we are strangers. Her father's hands shook. Auntie Risi looked away. Then her face softened. To my mother, I'm sorry. You didn't fail me. The truth finally reached me. I will love you as you always loved me. Mama Chioma broke down crying. Ngozi smiled gently in the video. And to the only person who was loyal. Everyone turned to the side where George stood quietly. George, she said warmly, if your heart still feels the same, I choose you. I choose you without fear. George covered his face with both hands, shaking. Just then, the mansion doors burst open. And there she stood. Ngozi. Alive. Strong. Wearing a simple white gown this time, no veil, no coffin. People screamed. Some fell. Others staggered back in fear. Kofi and Amma froze like statues. George ran to her first, tears pouring down his face. He held her like a man who finally got relief after a storm. Before anyone could speak, police officers entered behind her. Kofi Mensah and Amma Boteng, the lead officer announced, you are under arrest for attempted murder. Handcuffs clicked. Ngozi watched them being dragged away. Her heart didn't shake. She felt no pity. She turned to the rest of the room, all the faces that had betrayed her. I died in your eyes, she said calmly. But I rose because the truth is stronger than lies. From today, all of you will face the life you chose. She took George's hand. Her mother joined her side. And with a deep breath, Ngozi stepped into her new beginning. Alive, wiser, stronger. Revenge completed. Truth restored. A new chapter ready to start. And that's the end of today's tale. We hope it brought a smile, a thought, or a little bit of magic to your day. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to Tales Vibe for more weekly tales, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from our story family all around the world. Until next time, keep your heart open, your imagination alive, and remember, laughter and lessons always go hand in hand. See you in the next story.